Newswatch, I'm Eddie Dowd. Tonight's top story, we'll go live to reporter Caitlin Vetter in New Hartford, New York, where an investigation is currently underway in the fatal church beating of two brothers. Caitlin, what's going on in New Hartford?
Thank you, Eddie. I am 2 hours away from Ithaca, New York, in New Hartford, where two boys were beaten, one fatally, in these horrifying church beatings outside of the Word of Life Church here in New Hartford. Now, Christopher Leonard, one of the two boys, is released from the hospital this weekend, and he is expected to testify in court against the church members today, actually. And the 6 members of the church who beat the two boys, 2 of them include the parents, and 1 is their sister, and 3 other members of the church. Now, Christopher and Lucas were beaten by their parents in the Word of Life Church, and if you can see here from the video, you can see the 2 parents in court. They were charged with first-degree manslaughter for Lucas's death. Bruce and Deborah Leonard both pleaded not guilty, and 4 other members of the church were also charged. Christopher is expected to testify against all of them. Here we have the outside of the Word of Life Church. Now, the 4 other members included the boy's sister, and they are charged with second-degree assault for beating Christopher, who was in serious condition in the hospital, was just released this weekend. The 4 of them also pleaded not guilty. The arraignments were on Tuesday, and here we have the parents, Bruce and Deborah, once again in court for their arraignments, and you can see them kind of concealing their emotions. Now, the pastor of the church, Terry Irwin, is actually the sister of one of the defendants, and she was the one who found Lucas and took him to the hospital after the beatings. She is not being charged with anything as of now, and relatives of the boys, they were reluctant to share any information to police. It took the police hours to find Christopher after the beatings, after Lucas was taken to the hospital, and the boys' injuries were extensive. They suffered injuries to the back, the stomach, the legs, and the genitals, and the extent of the injuries, as well as the length of time they were beaten, contributed to Lucas's death and to Christopher's extensive stay in the hospital. And it's a horrifying event, Eddie. It's just so tragic.
Thank you, Caitlin. You know, our thoughts and prayers go out to Christopher. You had to ask her. Good morning and welcome to IC Newswatch. I'm Eddie Dowd. Tonight's top story, we go live to reporter Caitlin Vetter in New Hartford, New York, where an investigation is currently underway in the fatal church beating of 2 brothers. Caitlin, what's going on in New Hartford?
Thank you, Eddie. I'm here just 2 hours away from our very own Ithaca here in New Hartford, New York, where 2 brothers were beaten by church members, one fatally here at the Word of Life Church. It's just a tragic story. One of the brothers, Christopher Leonard, who was released from the hospital over the weekend, is expected to testify against his parents and the 4 other church members today in court. Now, the 2 teens were beaten, one fatally. Lucas, unfortunately, passed away from the beatings. He was taken to the hospital and passed away there. And as you can see from the video we are about to show you, the 2 parents are in court, Bruce and Deborah Leonard. They were charged with first-degree manslaughter for Lucas's death. Both of them pleaded not guilty, and here you can see them being arraigned with their attorneys. Now, 4 other members of the church were also charged. Here we can see the outside of the Word of Life Church where the beatings took place. Now, the 4 members include the boy's sister, and they are charged with second-degree assault for beating Christopher, who was in serious condition in the hospital. Now, the 4 of them also pleaded not guilty, and here we have the arraignments that occurred on Tuesday, and Bruce and Deborah are kind of concealing their emotions in court. The pastor of the church, Terry Irwin, is actually the sister of one of the defendants, and she was not charged with anything. She was actually the one who took Lucas to the hospital after the members found him not breathing and unresponsive. And the boys, they had extensive injuries, Eddie. They had injuries to their stomach, their back, their legs, and their genitals. Just tragic. And the extent of the injuries and the length of the beatings were what sent Lucas and Christopher to the hospital and contributed to Lucas's death, unfortunately. Eddie?
Well, thank you, Caitlin. You know, our thoughts and prayers go out to Christopher. What's the next step in the investigation?
Well, Eddie, the next step in the investigation is to uncover the motive behind these beatings. What triggered these church members to just beat these boys relentlessly for hours and contribute to this horrifying death and injuries? And the other motive is to rescue the other children in the church from a similar fate. Now, the authorities took 7 other children, ages 2 to 15, from the church and placed them in Child Protective Services custody, Eddie. And Christopher, thankfully, was released to from the hospital over the weekend, and he's expected again to testify in court today. And our thoughts and prayers go out to Christopher, and we wish him a speedy recovery. Eddie?
All right, thanks, Caitlin. Coming up, Joe Biden to tease a possible presidential run, and we'll look at the weather with meteorologist Wayne Wilkins. Stay with us. Welcome to IC News Watch. I'm Eddie Dowd. Tonight's top story, we go live to reporter Caitlin Vetter in Hartford, New York, where an investigation is currently underway in the fatal church beating of two brothers. What's going on there, Caitlin?
Hi, Eddie. I am just 2 hours away from our very own Ithaca in New Hartford, New York, where two brothers were brutally beaten by members of a congregation of a church. One of the brothers was beaten fatally, tragically. The other was just released from the hospital this weekend, and he's expected to testify in court today against the members of the church, including his parents and four others. One of those members is his sister. And in the video we are about to show you, you can see the boys' parents, Bruce and Deborah Leonard. They're in court testifying. They're giving their testimony. They were charged with first-degree manslaughter for Lucas's death. Both of them pleaded not guilty. You can see them in court here. Four other members of the church were also charged, and here you can see the exterior of the Word of Life Church where the beatings took place. The four other members included the boy's sister. They are charged with second-degree assault for beating Christopher, who was in serious condition, just released from the hospital this week, unfortunately. The four of them also pleaded not guilty. Now, the arraignments were on Tuesday, and here we have the parents, Bruce and Deborah, concealing their emotions in court. Now, the pastor of the church, Tiffany Irwin, is actually the defendant of is actually the sister of one of the defendants. She was not charged with anything. She is actually the person who found Lucas and took him to the hospital after the members of the church found him unresponsive and not breathing. And the extent of the injuries were so brutal that it contributed significantly to the length of stay in the hospital and to Lucas's death. Now the brothers suffered injuries to their stomach, their back, their legs, and their genitals, unfortunately, and that is what contributed to Lucas's death. Now relatives of the boys were questioned, but they were reluctant to release any information, and this certainly contributed to the length of time it took the police. It took them hours to find Christopher, and they found him on the second floor of the church, Eddie, and it was just a tragic event, and our thoughts go out to Christopher.
So, Caitlin, what is the next step in this investigation?
Well, the next step for the police is to uncover the motive of the beatings, what caused these parishioners to beat these boys so brutally, and their parents as well. And another step in the investigation is to ensure this doesn't happen again and to rescue the other children from the church. They already took 7 other children, ages 2 to 15, from the church and took them into child protective custody. Of course, Christopher, once again, was released from the hospital this weekend, and he's expected to testify, Eddie, in court today, actually. And our thoughts and prayers go out to him, and we wish him a speedy recovery.
All right. Thank you, Caitlin. And coming up, Joe Biden will make a possible presidential run, and we'll take a look at the weather with meteorologist Wayne Wilkins. Stay with us.